Thank you very much, actually, and thank you for the wonderful introduction, actually. So it's fantastic, actually, to be back here and in front of so many educators, actually, in the room. I probably did a little bit of a different. I started my career in the education sector. I did some lecturing in the Institute of Technology sector in Athlone before I spent some time in FOSS, actually, and before I moved out into industry as well. So I don't know whether I'm representative of a lot of HR professionals, I suppose, so I have that interest in the education sector, and I suppose maybe that's what drives my interest in the RPL sector. A little bit about Boston Scientific, actually, for those of you that don't know us. So Boston Scientific is one of the world's largest medical device companies. So we consist of 18 manufacturing plants worldwide. We employ over 24,000 people around the world. Probably many people, when they think of Boston Scientific, and if I was to ask them a product, they would probably tell me stents would be the product made by our wonderful teams in Boston Scientific here in Galway. But Boston Scientific make 13,000 different products, very profitable, 7.4 billion in revenue, 40 plus countries actually, and we're either number one or number two in 75% of the markets that we operate in. Probably more specifically with Ireland, actually, and to focus in a little bit on Ireland. So we're the largest medical device employer in Ireland at the moment. So we employ over 6,000 people across 3 sites in Clonmel, in Cork and in Galway. And for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the Cork aspect of that, because I'm sure that there are many people in the room that may be working with some of my colleagues in Galway and in Clonmel. So I'm going to focus a little bit on that. A little bit of an interesting thing, I was actually looking at numbers, actually, and it's really interesting, actually. The first thing that struck me when I joined Boston Scientific was the average length of service that employees have in Boston Scientific. So in Boston Scientific in Cork, it's actually almost 13 years, average length of service. So what we've seen is we've seen employees that have come into Boston Scientific at a product builder level, maybe with the leaving certificate, and we've really seen them grow with us, actually, throughout the country. And when I look at the average age profile of our employees in Cork, it was actually, when I first joined, it was 39 years of age, and it's actually moving up now to 40.1. We're all getting older, that's depressing. But on average, when you look at that, so I suppose somebody coming out at 21 years of age, it means that they're bringing with them at this stage now 20 years of learning, both informal and formally, actually, in the workplace. And now start to multiply that 20 years by the huge employee numbers. And really what you see is the combined years of that non-formal learning. The numbers are absolutely staggering. And actually, and that's only looking in one location. So really important. Does anybody remember, and I'm conscious that there are people maybe not from Ireland in the room, actually, but as I suppose on this presentation I did start to reflect, about 11 years ago there was a very famous ad, and you might actually recognise it from the pictures. It was the Dublin bus ad, and it was an ad for the financial regulator. Do you all remember that? Actually, what was very interesting was, I don't know how to save money on my car insurance, I don't understand what a tracker mortgage is, and I don't understand APR, all right? And what they did was they built a brand around Contact the Financial Regulator, itsyourmoney.ie. And I just wondered, as I was reflecting on people's feedback on RPL, are there similarities in the RPL sector? So if we were to ask those questions, I don't know how to save time on gaining a qualification, I don't know what a portfolio of learning is, and I don't understand RPL. And maybe is it about contact your local education provider to actually get free independent information in plain English? And I think I will highlight that plain English as I talk to it. So what's the opportunity? I reflected on the opportunity for, I suppose, industry, for practitioners, for everyone. And really what I've done is I've bucketed down over 3. And I'm very conscious that I'm probably giving you some feedback that you've heard from other people as well. But really when I talk about it, I would bucket it under 3 buckets. And that's around simplifying, that's around educating, and then that's around deploying. And in the simplification stage, The reality is that the perception amongst industry is that RPL is complicated. And you as practitioners know, and I know maybe being involved in it, that it's not as complicated as people think, but we have to think of the user experience. And the user experience from both a learner point of view and an employer point of view, I think is probably very much dependent on who your contact is in the local education provider, all right? The other thing that I would say is that standardize. So does an RPL application actually in Cork with an education institution, is it the same process or the same standard actually if I was doing it with someone in Dublin, or if I was doing it with someone in Galway, or if I was doing it with someone in Sligo? And again, I think that maybe we're on the right track, but there's probably opportunities to actually standardize there. And the third thing, and I can't emphasize, is actually there's a term that we use actually in Boston Scientific, and I'll often say, stop talking to me like a consultant and use plain English, actually. And I think a little bit like those financial regulator ads, there's an opportunity to build a brand around RPL and to reduce it down to that simplified plain English. In terms of educate, some of the things that you're doing fantastically, and we're availing of them, actually, the RPL clinics, actually. One of the things that I would look at is an industry, community of practice. How do you build in RPL understanding to HR education? So how are you targeting the courses that are training the next generation of HR professionals and including HR modules on those? I just put up ICBE, it's the Irish Centre for Business Excellence. They do an awful lot of networking, and I think it's a way that you can actually engage with industry. So education around RPL for me is a two-way process. Industry needs to learn about the RPL process from you as practitioners, but you also need to start to learn about how industry learning and development teams operate. And by that I mean there's common language. So you talk about learning outcomes, in industry we talk about competency mapping. And I think what we need to do is we need to find the middle ground. What does a talent management strategy look like? Because I'm talking about how you integrate it. A talent management strategy for me in Boston Scientific is very, very simple. It's around three areas. I want to attract talent, I want to develop that talent, and I want to engage that talent. And when I look at attracting talent or developing talent, I've got two options. Do I go to the market and buy that talent, ready-made, qualified now, or do I take the opportunity to build that talent internally within the company? So it's the buy versus build approach. And what's the golden ratio? It's actually, it's the $100 million question. At the moment, within Boston Scientific Cork, we run a 62% internal promotion rate, which means that out of all of the open roles that we have advertised, we filled 62% of them by moving people up, developing, progressing them along. All right. The business case for RPL is very, very clear. What you need to do as a network is go out and convince the budget makers and show them actually that. Concentrate a little bit, and I'm conscious just on the time actually, but I just think it's important actually because I think I'm hitting. You talk about the service that you provide. Actually, the success that we've had within Boston Scientific and Cork was because we weren't looking for a service provider. I was looking for a strategic learning partner. And when I look for a strategic learning partner, there are hundreds and thousands of training providers out there. But can they guarantee the quality? Can they guarantee the experience? And can they guarantee the sustainability of that partnership? So we had strategic partner right in our doorstep, the wonderful Deirdre Goggin, the Cork Institute of Technology, so Sunday Times, Institute of Technology of the Year, established quality assurance systems, exceptional academic staff, sustainable, it's long term, CIT aren't going anywhere. Actually, the research focus as well as the focus on employability, the world-class learning facilities, and we are confident that with Munster Technological University that will bring further opportunities to enhance that actual relationship. So don't only be a service provider is my importance. What you need to do is you need to build strategic learning partnerships actually with those companies. And I'm delighted to hear that the Education and Training Bill is going through an amendment stage in the Shannon this morning, giving back that power actually to the institutions. So it's really in your remit to drive that. Anchor yourself, embed yourself into organizations so that you don't just become a nice to have, you actually become a must have within the organization. A few little things that I'll talk about how we used it actually, and we're at the beginning of our RPL journey actually. So we built a program in Boston Scientific and Cork called the GROW program, and it's called Giving Real Opportunities for Work Experience. And it was a way of taking our product builders who might have had Leaving Cert qualifications but want to grow up one level in their career. And we developed an internal program actually where we take them out of the clean room into the classroom on a Friday, and we do 11 modules with them. Half of them technical, half of them would be soft skills. But 120 product builders have gone through that program, and just last week we were in front of a validation panel with Deirdre and the wonderful staff there, and we've received Level 6 Special Purpose Award certification now for a certificate in fundamentals of operational excellence for everyone that's completed that program. And we will look at using RPL now to actually bring the participants onto that who previously completed it. Succession planning. Succession planning is the area that I'm focused on, and succession planning is about me finding where is the future pipeline of talent that are qualified and ready now to take the critical roles in Boston Scientific. And one of the ladies from Boston Scientific that was a learner on your European video that was shown last week, Sinead O'Neill, I'm not sure whether any of you remember. So a little bit about her journey actually, and I know that she doesn't mind me talking about it. So came into Boston Scientific as a product builder with a base qualification, moved her way up actually through technician, production supervisor, worked with CIT and RPL to get advanced entry into the level 8 degree, and 3 weeks ago was appointed production director in Boston Scientific. So that's how RPL is having an impact on the area. The other area that I would say is that learning and development functions are becoming more professional. So we look at further education. So I have a budget every year whereby we look at further education. So how do you embed yourself in those further education processes that the different companies have? On a macro level, one of the areas that we're looking at in Boston Scientific is that we're part of a European project actually called Fit for the Future, which is looking at the factory of the future going forward. And we're a consortium. We're one of actually 9 partners from 8 different European countries who've received funding. And over a 3-year period, we're going to identify what are the 100 new profiles of jobs that are actually going to come in the year. Because I can tell you the single most disruptive technology that's going to happen in the industry is the automation aspect of what's going to happen. We talk about robotics. I prefer to use the word cobotics, which is cooperation of robots and people. Finally, and I do want to finish finally, but I think it is important actually, today is all about connections, and I hear the word connections an awful lot, and it's about how do we make connections with different people. Connections are very, very important to actually us as well, and I reflect back on the first time that we connected. A lot of the work that you do in the background, actually developing our employees in Boston Scientific, you actually don't very often get to see what the impact of that is. And what I want to tell you today is that you absolutely make an impact actually on people's lives. So I looked at out of Cork actually, out of 6 million devices that were delivered from Cork to all around the world. Your work is often hidden, never underestimate. And I suppose if I could just finish with just a very short video actually from some of our patients.
Each of us is unique, with individual talents and passions. And when we...
Sorry.
Connect, amazing things happen. Every connection matters. From the first what if, we listen intently and to connect one inspiration to another. We improve upon each other's ideas.
I don't think it's
We research and test.
Where is it on the video? Is it on the web? Is it?
No, it's just a...
The display side. I think if you could try this button here. So
Where is it?
just click on that arrow. No, to the left. Then it's your display.
Yeah, I don't
Try
think...
over here. And you'll have to skip. Just try
Yes.
this one.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It's not mine.
I think we're having difficulties with the video, but I suppose it was really a patient impact video, actually, which which really talks about it. But listen, I know that I've probably gone over, but I think it was important maybe just to share that. So thanks very much for actually taking the time for this.